Team Baxter.
The body and frame consist of a bunch of tube frame pieces that I need to assemble. So I'm going to do that off camera and then come back. There are a few accent pieces that I'll be hand painting, and I'll go over that right before I do them. So right now I'm just going to get the main tube frame together. I got the frame built. It was very simple. It went together pretty easy. It's just a couple of tubes and a couple screws together. So I got that done. The body panels would normally go on here right now, but I'm taking a little bit of time to detail the body panels. So while I get the body panels figured out and the masks and everything painted up and finished, I'm going to go ahead and go to the wheels. These are 3-piece beadlock wheels. They're a method wheel, plastic of course, but a method replica wheel. Pretty decent, not too special, not too fancy. They have 3 vent holes. You can adjust it to fit 1 or 3 holes. There is no closed option that I can see. I have another pair of these wheels and I suffer from the same problem. I can't get them to close completely, so they always breathe a little bit. These tires get installed over these medium compound Falcon Wild Peak MTs. Pretty decent tire. I haven't driven on these myself, so I can't say right off initial impressions. Seemed like a pretty decent tire. Got a nice good tread on them. Not too soft, not too firm, so we'll see how they do. So I'm going to go ahead and get these installed. 3-piece, slide the middle ring in and then position your 2 other rings on there after you get the middle ring in, and that kind of locks the wheel in. Go ahead and get all 4 of these built and get them installed on the chassis. So a quick look at how the wheels go together. Go ahead and slide the middle ring in and get the bead of the tire above the middle ring on both sides. I'm going to make sure not a whole lot of your foam is above that ring. Just kind of loosely seat the bead of the tire inside that ring. I'm going to do this on both sides. See the foam? It's kind of hanging out a little bit, so you just want to kind of push that down a little bit. Both sides are seated. Now you want to find the little stem piece and select whether you want 1, 2, or 3 holes. I want 1, so I'm going to place this here on this side, so you can see when I clench it down, it's gonna cover just 1 hole. If that's picking up, but I've got that aligned onto that pin. So now I'm going to set this down and slide the top piece on above it and line the holes and push right on down. Turn back over and match up your holes, and there's a little bit of a gap in there. You can see that gap right there. I'm going to tighten that evenly all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 screws in a triangle. And then I'm just going to tighten each one just enough. Maybe 1/8 inch, a little bit more. And so now it's secured, it's not going anywhere. So there's this little lip that needs to be pulled out. You can see it coming out from under the ring, and now it's pushing against this plastic ring of the wheel itself. See him going around pulling that out. Do that all the way around, and now your tire is seated properly. Flip that over. Do the same thing on the other side. So when you have your bead set correctly, go ahead and I use an electric driver, and I'll pull the screw close with the electric driver. Don't do any final tightening with my electric driver. And then real quick before I do my final tightening, I want to check on both sides and make sure that ring is still outside, make sure it didn't dip back in or anything. You can see right there, tried to go back in a little bit. So you just pull it and get it seated correctly. Then you can go ahead with your hand driver and manually tighten it. Just until it's snug. Don't want to over tighten these. They strip out fairly easily. Just snug. So we'll go ahead and throw the other 3 screws in similar fashion. Pop them in. Punch them down with the electric driver. And then hand tighten them as I did with the last one. Do this in a triangle to ensure that the tire is seated properly. You get those tightened up and then your tire is mounted. Now after you get the tire mounted, you have to mount this little hub. This hub mounts up to the hex that's mounted on the wheel. You get a metal hex, and this is a lot better configuration than the old poison splatter configuration I had. I like this one a lot better. So I'm going to turn that over and get this seated. So I line these holes up for this little hub in the back, and I go ahead and get those screwed on. The problem I had with these hubs, not even really a problem, is that you need to make sure that the hub is seated on the face of the back of the wheel. I had the first one tightened down, and I thought I had it tightened down, and it actually wasn't. It still could use a little more screw space, so just make sure you get those tightened down snug. So get the other 3 screws in, but that's how you get these wheels mounted. And I've actually already finished the other 3, so these are now ready to be mounted on the vehicle, along with these metal hubs that I was speaking of earlier. These go on first, and then the plastic hubs that we attached go on over these metal hubs. There is a short adapter in the front and a long adapter in the back. You have to make sure you get those in the right spots.